Absolutely. I mean, if we talk about something else as well that's going on with Everton, of course, the takeover with 777 partners. Now, sounds like potentially that could set to be approved by the end of February, but rejected or accepted kind of is, or approved is remains to be seen. If it is rejected, Keith, what are your thoughts then? Where do Everton go from there, especially as well with all that we've just discussed with the points?
It is very difficult. I mean, there was some other sort of not very favourable news about 777 came out yesterday about their reinsurance company and their credit ratings. Certainly, I don't think that's been helpful to them, and I don't know what the Premier League's view on that will be. So again, we're stuck in terms of timing. Everybody saw the Radcliffe, agreement at Man United. I think got approved in 51 days. I believe we're almost at 180 days now in terms of the 777 situation. So again, it's difficult. Obviously, there is due process. I understand that. But again, are the correct resources being applied from the Premier League to do things in a timely fashion? It doesn't seem to be. I did say before that they've announced they brought in additional legal resource to do, to try and handle the Forest and the Everton second charges. Why hasn't that been done before in terms of not only the 777 approval, the legal side? The Premier League's got enough money to bring in much more resources than it has at present. So I don't know why these sort of things can't be handled more expeditiously, given the impact they have on the competition and its integrity.
Is there any concern, though, Keith, to kind of flip it around in a different way, that because it's taken so long for 777 to get approval, are you concerned at all that they actually might not be the right candidates to own Everton?
Well, I think there's a big concern, obviously, and you obviously come to the conclusion the longer it goes on, the bigger the problems may be, and that the proper information has not been given. So yes, of course, absolutely, that there's deep concerns. I think that why this hasn't gone through. I've seen many takeover bids with clubs, etc., when they have, when things have gone on, they haven't been able to answer the questions, and the longer it goes on, certainly the worse it appears to be. So I think there is a problem there. And then, the Premier League's got a double-edged sword because it's also now contributed with its length of with the time it's taken on the length of this decision about 777. It's put Everton into another difficult situation because the club has not been able to then be, to be able to engage with any other potential buyers while it's under sort of, I presume, exclusivity agreements with 777. So that's giving Everton another headache due to the timing of the Premier League's actions.
I mean, it really isn't very ideal from what you've basically just said. It's all quite complicated at the moment. I mean, 7-7 partners, by the sounds as well, are going to record £200 million worth of loans if the takeover is rejected. What does that then mean for the club going forwards?
Well, it's hard to know without understanding the detail of how those loans are actually given to the club, if they're convertible into equity, and whether they could actually have to be repaid if a new owner came in. I don't know enough detail to be able to comment on how it could really impact somebody. But nevertheless, what you can presume is that the amount of debt is increasing, and that isn't good. And certainly any new owner would have to come in and look at probably repaying some of the creditors at present and reducing that debt load and getting the club back onto a stable footing. And that's where you'd hope that then the new stadium and the revenues coming in from that could fix the picture. But it's getting very close to the edge about those sort of situations. I do believe there are other people in the wings, and I hope they are. And I think that Everton is still a great prize, particularly with the new stadium. And I think it can go forward. But we're getting close to the edge now.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's sort of getting very, I mean, it's getting very close now to its conclusion, really, across all fronts. So the other sort of key question, Keith, I mean, of course, you've mentioned in previous episodes on this podcast, so please go and listen back if you haven't already, is that the stadium effectively could be the, that could be the shining light at the end of the tunnel for Evertonians. That's what's, is there to look forward to. But actually, with these loans to repay in the stadium bills, is that concerning also going into the summer and further forwards for the club?
Well, the good news on that sort of side of it is that the fixed price contracts that were put in place meant that the actual cost of the stadium when it's finished is going to be fairly reasonable compared to what it would cost today. I think if you were to look at a project like this today, you'd be looking at over about £1.2 billion to try and build a stadium like this. Whereas I understand we're well under 800, nearer 750 in terms of the cost of the present stadium. So already you've got an asset with greater value. So that is one great plus and a positive. if we were stuck with Goodison and these debts, that'd be a completely different picture.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So actually, would you say in that sense then that although everything going on at the club isn't ideal, that actually the stadium is effectively, you could argue, sort of perfect timing, a blessing in disguise?
Yes, it is. I mean, as much as it's caused a problem on the round of 10 points because of the Premier League's interpretation about the interest payments, it could well end up being the solution and the saviour at the same time.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.